Imagine waking up every single day knowing that you're one step closer to the life you've always dreamed of, 1% better, just one. It doesn't sound like much, but let me tell you, that tiny step compounds, it multiplies. It creates momentum that nothing, absolutely nothing can stop. Every choice, every action, every moment becomes fuel for unstoppable growth. Today is not about luck. Today is not about waiting for opportunity. Today is about deciding right now that you will improve, that you will rise, that you will become unstoppable. Are you ready to take that step? You know, most people are waiting for the big moment. They think transformation comes from a massive leap, a sudden breakthrough, or a life-altering event. They believe that success, that unstoppable version of themselves, is something that just happens overnight. But let me tell you something, real change doesn't work that way. Real change is quiet. Real change is invisible at first. Real change comes from getting just a little bit better every single day. And when I say a little bit, I mean just 1%, that's all. 1% improvement might not feel like much today. You wake up, make a better choice, take a small step, and think, did that even matter? And the answer is, yes, it does. Every single choice you make compounds over time. Every little action stacks on top of the last one, creating momentum that is unstoppable. Imagine a tiny snowflake falling onto a mountain slope. On its own, it seems insignificant, but it starts a chain reaction. That tiny flake grows. It collects more snow, it gains weight and speed, and before you know it, it becomes an avalanche. That is the power of small, consistent improvement. That is the power of getting 1% better every single day. Here's the thing most people don't understand. They underestimate the power of these small actions. They think that change has to feel dramatic. They think, if I don't see immediate results, it's not working. But life doesn't reward intensity in a single moment. It rewards consistency over time. If you improve 1% today, and 1% tomorrow, and 1% the day after, you're not just inching forward, you're building exponential growth day after day, week after week, month after month. Those tiny increments turn into massive transformation. And suddenly, people look at you and say, wow, how did you get here? You're unstoppable. And all you did was commit to being slightly better every single day. Now let's talk about habits, because habits are the engine of this transformation. Your life is literally the sum of what you repeatedly do. And if you want to get 1% better every day, you need to start with your daily habits. Start with one tiny improvement in the way you think, the way you act, the way you respond to challenges. Maybe it's reading 5 pages of a book instead of none. Maybe it's taking 5 minutes to reflect on what you're grateful for. Maybe it's sending that one email, making that one call, taking that one extra step when you feel tired. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be huge. It just has to be consistent. Consistency is where the magic happens. You don't notice the growth happening in the moment, but it's there. You might not feel stronger today, smarter today, more capable today, but keep going. Keep adding that 1%. That's how you build momentum. Momentum is what turns ordinary people into unstoppable forces. And once you start to feel it, once you see the small wins stacking up, your confidence grows. And confidence is the key ingredient that pushes you through the days when progress feels invisible. And let me remind you something critical, there will be setbacks. Life will challenge you. You will have days when it feels impossible to get even 1% better. But that's part of the process. 1% improvement isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about making the choice to continue even when it's hard. And every single time you choose to push forward, even a tiny bit, you're building resilience, you're building strength. You're proving to yourself that you are unstoppable, not because nothing ever goes wrong, but because you refuse to stop growing. Think about the ripple effect. One small improvement today influences tomorrow, and tomorrow's small improvement influences the next day. Before you know it, your life looks nothing like it did at the start. The people around you notice. Opportunities appear because you've been quietly building skills, character, and momentum. You start to feel untouchable because you've created a habit of daily growth that no obstacle can stop. This is what it means to get 1% better every day. It's invisible at first, it's relentless, and eventually it becomes unstoppable. So if there's one thing I want you to take from this, it's this: don't wait for a big moment. Don't wait for tomorrow or next week or next year. Start today. Start with 1%. Choose one small improvement right now, right this moment, because those tiny actions repeated consistently will carry you further than any dramatic leap ever could. And when you commit to this, you don't just improve, you become unstoppable. You see, if you want to get 1% better every single day, it isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are. Most people focus on habits, strategies, or tactics, but they overlook the most powerful force in their life, their identity. Who you believe you are drives every action, every decision, every outcome. If you want to change your results, you have to change your identity first. Because the truth is, the person you are today is the reason your life looks the way it does. And if you want a different life, you have to become a different person. Let me ask you a question. When you wake up in the morning, who do you see in the mirror? Who is that person? Are they the person who takes action, who grows, who wins, or are they the person who hesitates, who doubts, who waits for permission? Your life follows the version of yourself that you show up as. And that's why identity is everything. Identity is the foundation on which every habit is built. You can try to force habits without changing your identity, but eventually you will fall back into the old patterns because deep down you are still living according to the old version of yourself. Now, This isn't about pretending. It's not about saying, I'm someone I'm not. It's about making a conscious choice to become the person who naturally takes the actions that lead to the results you want. You have to step into the identity of growth, of progress, of excellence. You have to start thinking and acting like the person who improves every single day. And when you do, habits become effortless. Actions align with who you are, and results, they start flowing naturally. The amazing thing about identity is that it's self-reinforcing. When you believe you are a certain kind of person, your brain will work to prove it right. If you see yourself as someone who never gives up, you will persist even when it's hard. If you see yourself as someone who learns every day, you will seek knowledge and take in lessons everywhere you go. If you see yourself as someone who grows 1% each day, your choices will reflect that belief. It becomes automatic. Your environment, your challenges, even the people around you, they all start to serve the person you are becoming. But here's the catch: identity is not fixed. Many people live their whole lives thinking, this is just who I am. They limit themselves by old stories, old labels, old excuses. And the sad truth is those stories are lies you've told yourself. They are habits of thinking that no longer serve you. If you want to get better every day, you have to rewrite those stories. You have to look at yourself and say, I am not limited by my past. I am the person who grows, the person who wins, the person who refuses to settle. And then you have to live it, breathe it, and act like it until it becomes unstoppable. Here's how it works in practice. Start small. Because identity shifts happen through action. Decide today that you are someone who seeks growth. Then act like that person. Read, reflect, ask questions, take risks. Every time you choose to act in alignment with the person you want to become, you reinforce that identity. It's not about waiting until you feel like it. Feeling comes after doing. You create the person you are becoming through the choices you make consistently, 1% at a time. And notice how this transforms more than just what you do. It transforms how you feel about challenges. When you see yourself as someone who grows every day, obstacles become opportunities. Setbacks become lessons. Fear becomes fuel. You no longer fear failure because failure doesn't define you anymore. Your identity does. And when you are living as the person who is unstoppable, the world starts bending in your favor. Doors open, opportunities appear, and people respond to the energy of someone who is fully committed to growth. So ask yourself, who do you want to be? What version of yourself deserves the life you're dreaming of? Not the version stuck in old habits, not the version limited by fear, but the version who shows up every day, improves every day, and refuses to settle for less. That is the person you need to become. And every action, every choice, every moment you spend in alignment with that identity compounds over time. Just like the 1% improvement we talked about earlier, it becomes unstoppable. It's not about being perfect. It's about being committed. It's not about changing overnight. It's about choosing who you are and living that identity relentlessly, day in and day out. When you do this, when you truly step into the person who grows, who improves, who wins, you don't just improve, you transform your life from the inside out. And once that transformation takes root, there is nothing and no one that can stop you. You know, there's one thing that separates the people who get 1% better every day from the people who struggle to move forward. And it's not talent, it's not luck, it's not resources. It's state. Your state, the way you feel, the way you move, the way you show up dictates everything you do. If you're drained, distracted, overwhelmed, or frustrated, your brain can't perform at its best. Your body resists progress. And even the best habits, the smartest strategies, the most powerful intentions will fail if your state isn't aligned with who you want to be. Think about it. Every decision you make, every action you take is influenced by your state in that moment. When you're tired, you procrastinate. When you're frustrated, you react instead of respond. When you're drained, you settle for less. But when you're energized, focused, and unstoppable, the same choices that felt impossible become effortless. You take action. You persevere. You achieve. Your state literally controls the quality of your life. And mastering is the key to getting 1% better every single day. Now, mastering your state doesn't mean being positive all the time or pretending everything is fine. That's fake. Real mastery is about learning how to create and control your state intentionally, moment by moment, no matter what life throws at you. It's about knowing that your physiology, your posture, your breathing, your movement affects your mind, and your mind affects your actions. It's about understanding that focus determines what you see, what you feel, and ultimately what you do. When you control your energy and your focus, you control your results. Here's an example. When you feel nervous or anxious, what happens? Your body tightens, your mind races, your heart beats faster, and suddenly even simple tasks feel monumental. But if you shift your state, stand tall, breathe deeply, focus on what you can control, you immediately change your physiology, which changes your emotions, which changes your behavior. You gain clarity, confidence, and momentum. That's how state works. It's not magic, it's biology. And when you understand it, you can use it to your advantage every single day. And the most powerful part, your state is completely in your control. You don't have to wait for circumstances to be perfect. You don't have to wait for someone to motivate you. You have the power to change how you feel, how you think, how you act right now. Movement, breathing, focus, meaning these are the levers you pull to step into an unstoppable state. You can choose to be energized instead of exhausted. to be determined instead of discouraged, to be resilient instead of defeated. And once you master this, nothing can stop you from improving 1% every day. But here's the challenge. Most people don't do this because it requires awareness. You have to notice how you feel in the moment. You have to recognize when you are out of alignment and take immediate action. You can't wait for motivation to magically appear. Motivation is fleeting. Energy is renewable, but only if you learn how to create it. And it starts with simple, intentional actions. Move your body, change your posture, speak with power, focus on what you want, not what you fear. Give meaning to what you are doing, even in small tasks. These tiny choices shape your state and over time, shape your life. And here's the beauty of it. Mastering your state compounds just like 1% improvement. Each day you choose to control your energy. Each day you practice stepping into clarity, focus, and resilience. You build a muscle. You become someone who doesn't just react to life. You respond with strength, purpose, and power. You become someone who doesn't wait for the world to give you opportunities. You create them. You become unstoppable because your mind and body are in perfect alignment, driving you toward growth, progress, and success every single day. Think about the difference this makes in your life. On days when challenges arise, you won't crumble under pressure. When setbacks hit, you won't give up. When others panic, you will stay calm, focused, and determined. That is the power of mastering your state. It's the invisible edge that separates ordinary people from extraordinary people. And it's the foundation for getting 1% better every day, because improvement isn't just about action. It's about the quality of your action. And the quality of your action comes from your state. So the question is simple. Will you let your state control you, or will you control your state? Will you wait for life to energize you, or will you take responsibility for your energy, your focus, your momentum? The choice is yours, and it's in those choices, repeated consistently, that you build the unstoppable momentum that changes everything. Your state determines your life. Master it, own it, and let it fuel your journey to becoming unstoppable. You know, we live in a world that's louder, faster, and more distracting than ever before. Every day, we're bombarded with notifications, opinions, advice, and endless streams of information. And the truth is, most people never reach their full potential because they let the noise control them. They try to do too much, focus on too many things, and spread their energy in 1,000 directions. And when you do that, improvement slows, progress stalls, and even the simplest goals feel impossible. If you want to get 1% better every day, you have to do something most people won't. You have to focus ruthlessly. Now, focus isn't just about sitting quietly and ignoring distractions. It's about clarity. It's about knowing what matters most, what moves the needle, and what will actually get you closer to becoming unstoppable. So many people confuse activity with progress. They fill their day with busy work, checking boxes, and reacting to every little thing that comes their way. And at the end of the day, they feel exhausted, frustrated, and like they've accomplished nothing. But here's the secret. Progress doesn't come from doing more. Progress comes from doing less, better, and with laser sharp focus. Think about it like this. Imagine you're shining a flashlight in a dark room. If you wave it around everywhere, you see a little of everything, but nothing clearly. If you point it at one spot, one corner, one target, everything in that space becomes illuminated. That's how focus works in life. When you focus on what matters most, when you eliminate the noise, the distractions, the meaningless tasks, suddenly your energy, your decisions, and your results all align. You begin to move forward faster, smarter, and stronger than ever before. And let me be clear, this isn't about being rigid or obsessive. It's about being intentional. It's about making conscious choices every day about what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Every yes you give to something that matters is also no to dozens of other things, and that's good. That's what creates space for growth. That's what allows you to get 1% better each day without burning out. Focus isn't a limitation, it's liberation. It's the freedom to direct your energy toward the actions that truly make a difference. Here's the challenge. Most people don't realize how much they're sabotaging themselves with distractions. Social media, endless scrolling, reacting to other people's drama, trying to please everyone. These are energy vampires. They steal your time, your clarity, and your potential. And the worst part, they often feel unavoidable, like they're just part of life. But the truth is, you decide what deserves your attention. You decide what you allow to control your mind and your day. You have the power to shut out the noise and create the space for meaningful action, for growth, for progress. Once you make that choice, you begin to see results almost immediately. Your mind becomes sharper. Your energy becomes more focused. Your actions become more effective. And suddenly, tasks that felt overwhelming become manageable. Goals that felt distant start to feel achievable. Momentum builds because your energy isn't wasted. It's concentrated on what actually matters. This is the secret of getting 1% better every day, relentless focus on the things that make the biggest difference. And here's another thing. Focus compounds just like improvement does. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes. The more you eliminate distractions, the clearer your priorities become. And when clarity meets consistent action, extraordinary results follow. You start making decisions faster, taking actions with confidence, and creating a rhythm of unstoppable growth. Focus is the engine that transforms intention into reality. Without it, your goals stay stuck in your mind. With it, your goals become inevitable. But don't forget, focus is also about boundaries. It's about saying no. It's about protecting your time, energy, and attention like the valuable resources they are. If you want to improve just 1% every day, you have to get comfortable with rejection. not rejecting people, but rejecting anything that doesn't serve your growth. When you protect your focus, you protect your momentum. And when your momentum is protected, nothing can stop you from becoming unstoppable. So take a moment and ask yourself, where is your energy going today? What are you giving your attention to? And more importantly, what distractions are stealing it from you? Because once you decide to focus ruthlessly, once you make clarity your weapon, every single day becomes an opportunity to get 1% better. Every action, every decision, every moment is magnified, compounded, and directed toward unstoppable growth. Your focus is your power. Protect it, sharpen it, and let it drive you to become unstoppable. You know, so many people underestimate the power of reflection and measurement. They move through life reacting to what happens to them, hoping that somehow, by chance, progress will appear. But here's the truth. What gets measured improves. If you want to get 1% better every single day, you have to know where you stand, what's working, and what's holding you back. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you pay attention, track your actions, and learn from every outcome. Every small step forward is valuable, but only if you notice it, celebrate it, and use it to fuel your next move. Think about it. If you never check your progress, how do you know if you're improving? How do you know if your habits are effective, if your energy is aligned, if your focus is on the right things? Most people guess. They assume, they hope. And hoping is not a strategy, it's a trap. Tracking progress is not about judgment, it's about clarity. It's about giving yourself the information you need to make better choices tomorrow. Every time you take a moment to reflect, to measure, ask yourself what worked and what didn't, you create a feedback loop that accelerates growth. And here's the beauty of it. When you track your progress, you also create momentum. Progress, even small progress, is motivating. It fuels confidence. When you see yourself getting stronger, smarter, more capable, it reinforces your belief that you are someone who grows every day. And that belief, the belief in yourself, is what turns 1% improvement into unstoppable transformation. Every tiny win matters because it compounds. It adds up. And when you recognize and celebrate it, it becomes a habit in itself, a habit of noticing growth, reinforcing progress, and committing to improvement. Now, reflection doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as a few questions at the end of each day. What did I do today that moved me forward? What challenges did I face? And how did I respond? What can I improve tomorrow? This simple habit creates awareness, accountability, and momentum. It keeps you honest with yourself and ensures that every small effort counts. Without reflection, progress is invisible. With reflection, every tiny step forward becomes a building block for something massive. And let's talk about celebrating wins, because too often people overlook this. They focus so much on what's next, what's missing, what's not working, that they forget to celebrate the victories they've earned. Celebrating doesn't mean becoming complacent. It means recognizing that progress is happening. Every small win, every incremental improvement is proof that you are moving in the right direction. When you celebrate these micro wins, you strengthen your motivation, your energy, and your confidence. You teach your brain to notice progress, and once your brain is wired to see improvement, growth accelerates naturally. But here's the thing, feedback loops aren't just about looking back, they're about looking forward. Reflection and celebration give you information you can act on. They tell you where to adjust, where to double down, where to change course. Life is full of variables. Some strategies work perfectly, others need tweaking. And the people who get 1% better every day are the ones who pay attention, notice patterns, and adapt. They don't let setbacks define them. They use feedback to refine their approach, improve their habits, and move faster toward their goals. And don't underestimate the emotional impact of this practice. When you track progress, celebrate wins, and adjust intelligently, you feel empowered, you feel capable, you feel unstoppable. Every small improvement becomes a proof point that you are growing, that you are becoming the person you've committed to being, and over time, those proof points compound into unshakable confidence, momentum, and mastery over your life. So ask yourself, are you moving blindly, or are you intentionally measuring, learning, and celebrating every step? Are you giving yourself the tools to see your growth, to adjust intelligently, and to maintain the motivation to keep going? This is the difference between people who drift through life and people who become unstoppable. Tracking progress, celebrating micro wins, and learning from feedback is not optional. If you want to improve 1% every day, it is essential. Every day, take a moment to reflect. Every day, notice even the smallest improvement. Every day, celebrate your wins, learn from your mistakes, and use the insight to take even better action tomorrow. That is how small steps compound into unstoppable growth. That is how 1% every day turns into transformation that nothing can stop. Now, here's the truth that separates people who get 1% better every day from everyone else. These setbacks happen. Life throws challenges, obstacles, and disappointments at everyone. The difference isn't in avoiding failure. It's in how you respond to it. Every unstoppable person you admire has faced adversity, has fallen, and has been knocked down. The difference is they didn't stay there. They learned, they adapted, and they used every setback as fuel for growth. If you want to get 1% better every day, you have to do the same. You see, improvement isn't a straight line. It's messy. There are days when you feel unstoppable and days when it feels like the world is against you. There are days when you crush your goals and days when nothing goes right. And here's the thing, if you let those hard days define you, if you let setbacks control your momentum, you will never reach your potential. But if you see setbacks differently, if you see them as lessons, as opportunities, as signals to adjust, you begin to turn every challenge into an advantage. Resilience becomes your secret weapon. Resilience doesn't mean you never feel frustration, disappointment, or pain. It means you refuse to stay stuck in those emotions. It means you take the experience, extract the lesson, and use it to fuel your next action. When something goes wrong, you don't ask, why me? You ask, what can I learn? How can I grow? How can I get 1% better tomorrow? That mindset, turning setbacks into strength, is what separates ordinary people from unstoppable people. It's what allows growth to continue even when circumstances are difficult, even when the odds seem impossible. And here's the key: the people who become unstoppable don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't wait until the stars align, until life is easy, or until they feel 100% ready. They take action in spite of fear, doubt, and difficulty. They understand that growth happens in discomfort, that strength is built through struggle, and that mastery is earned by showing up when it's hard. Every setback is an opportunity to practice resilience, to reinforce your identity as someone who grows, and to continue getting 1% better every day. Now, resilience is also built through perspective. You have to see life not as a series of problems, but as a series of challenges that are meant to sharpen you, test you, and prepare you for greater success. The moment you reframe setbacks as fuel, you stop resisting them and start leveraging them. Every obstacle, every failure, every disappointment becomes a stepping stone. You begin to realize that nothing in life is wasted. Even the hardest days are part of your growth. Even the biggest failures carry lessons that make you stronger, wiser, and more capable. And let me tell you something else: resilience compounds just like 1% improvement. Every time you face difficulty and choose to rise, every time you take a hit and keep moving, every time you fall and refuse to stay down, you are building momentum. You are reinforcing the belief that you are unstoppable. You are proving to yourself that no matter what life throws at you, you can handle it, adapt, and continue growing. Over time, those choices create a life that is impervious to setbacks, a life fueled by determination, courage, and relentless progress. But here's the challenge most people face: they make the mistake of seeing resilience as a rare skill, something only certain people are born with. That's not true. Resilience is a practice. It's a decision. It's a commitment to keep moving forward. No matter what, you build it by choosing action over inaction, learning over blaming, and growth over comfort. Every time you refuse to let setbacks stop you, you reinforce your identity as someone who improves, someone who grows, someone who is unstoppable. And here's the most powerful part: once resilience becomes part of who you are, it transforms everything else in your life. Challenges that used to feel terrifying become opportunities. Fear that used to paralyze you becomes energy that drives you. Obstacles that used to slow you down become stepping stones that accelerate your growth. You don't just get 1% better every day. You become someone who can handle anything, someone who refuses to quit, someone whose momentum is unstoppable no matter what life throws your way. So the question isn't whether setbacks will come. They will. The question is, what will you do when they arrive? Will you let them define you, stop you, or discourage you? Will you see them as fuel, as a chance to grow, as a moment to prove to yourself that you are unstoppable? The choice is yours, and every choice you make compounds over time. Every time you rise after a fall, every time you turn difficulty into opportunity, you become stronger, faster, smarter, and closer to the unstoppable version of yourself. Setbacks will come. How you respond will determine if you become unstoppable.